Happy Sunday, good people. Welcome to the return of the Breaking Chains Book Club. We went on a little bit of a hiatus as we were waiting for this particular book to come out, which is the Idaho 4, An American Tragedy. This was highly anticipated and scheduled to come out like a month before the trial. But as you all know, probably by now, Bryan Kohberger's team issued a plea deal, and now he gets to sit behind bars for the rest of his life rather than face the consequences of death. And that's what he traded off. But I can't help but think about the victims and the victims' family in that situation and how horrifying this whole ordeal has been. So it honestly made this book even more important because and also the gag order was lifted just this week. So more information is going to come out. But I know that these particular authors, one of the reasons I want to read this book, yeah, that's what it looks like, Crystal. You're right. That's what it definitely looks like. And, you know, one of the reasons I've been wanting to read this book is because of the authors. And welcome people coming in. Thank you all for being here. Both of the authors are very, very respected and renowned authors. One of them, Vicky Ward, was a reporter for Vanity Fair for years and years, and she's one of the people who broke the Epstein story. There have been many people who broke hey, Music City Mom, nice to see you. The Epstein story was broken really locally, and you've been a member for 3 months. Good on you, girl. Thanks for being a member for three months. The Epstein story was broken locally. You know, it was broken locally first in Miami, and then it bubbled up to national news, especially when he hired a PR person and wanted to get a profile in Vanity Fair. And when Vanity Fair, Vicky Ward was doing, investigating him for this for this story, she started finding out that there were all these allegations, and this was after he had already gotten a very, very sweet and light deal for being a convicted predator in Palm Beach. Amongst many girls, he got this somehow inexplicably got this incredible deal, and so Vicky Ward was going to put that in her reporting in Vanity Fair, but it all ended up getting X'd out. That entire side of the Epstein story was taken out by Graydon Carter, her editor, because he was getting threats. He walked out one day and there was a bullet somewhere in his vicinity, and also a dead, one of his cats were killed. So that particular story, Epstein story, she clearly was on to something. And these many years later, she's still on that Epstein story, but she's also done a lot of other work. She's worked now for Vanity Fair and Rolling Stone. And so I really admire her work. And I was really, I thought it was really interesting that she would team up with James Patterson, because he's such a renowned crime novelist. I think I've been really looking forward to reading this book, not in terms of the gore aspect. Hello, Liberty. Hello, Proud Mimi. Hello, everybody coming in. Not because of the gore aspect, but because of I know that these are two people who not only can do deep investigative journalism and know that they will get facts that we've never seen before, but also it will be, the story will be well told because of James Patterson's influence. So I have not read a word of this book yet. I've had it for about a week now, but I haven't read a word of it because I wanted to just come on here and read it with you and share it with all of you. And to welcome back my lovely co-reader, Cinnamon Girl.
Hello, hello.
Hello, good to see you.
Good to see you. It's been way too long, hasn't it?
It has been way too long. I'm excited to get into this, but
Me too.
When I texted Cinnamon Girl yesterday, I warned her that I'm going to do a little bit of an Epstein rant because,
Please do.
Yeah. If y'all have if your head has been buried in the ground for the last week or two, you may not know that the government became the world's most powerful and successful tragedy pimp. That's what happened. That's literally what happened. Because what we have here is crimes that happened to women and men, but in this particular case, women on a global scale, and is now flushed into the annals of history with no justice. There has been no fucking justice. There is one woman in prison right now serving time for the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein. And that's Ghislaine Maxwell. And now she's saying, hey, I can get out now too, because you're saying there's nothing there, right? So what that tells me, and I'm not making a political statement about the left or the right. They are every single one of those politicians that were okay with riding along with this horrific story, using it as their political propaganda in either way, pumped it up, and then fucking buried it. There's no bigger tragedy fucking pimping than that. And that's what my channel covers a lot of, is tragedy pimping. They used these women's stories for their own gain to get ahead with no justice. None. Can you imagine being groomed and graped by an old man, going to the police and thinking that you're going to get, he's going to get justice because everybody knows, at least in the community who he is, and he's a rich guy. And now 30 years later, there's still no justice. None whatsoever. So I am seriously considering doing an Epstein series, victim by victim, telling the stories of each victim that we know of. And there's a lot of way. Oh, Music City Mom, you're so awesome. Thank you so much. I hope that people are as interested and as angry as I am at the fact that there are hundreds, maybe thousands of victims who were child raped by this man, and there's no justice. Why would any human being come forward to report child abuse when this is going to potentially be the outcome? You don't know if some anonymous man that you got hooked up with ends up being one of the most powerful people in the world, and so there's no justice. And this angers me beyond belief at our entire government. Hey, Harlot, nice to see you. Entire government, not one side, not the other. This is not political for me. This is fucking personal to me, because at least 1 out of every 3 women get sexually assaulted at some point in their lives. 1 in every 5, I think it is, has had child abuse. Okay. And then the risk that they face to come out and report a crime, especially if it's a powerful person, is that they will get blamed. Hi, Tiggy girl. Nice to see you. The victims get blamed. It was their fault. Or in the case of Epstein, the government secrets that he holds are too important. The government secrets across the globe that he was involved in are more important to us than getting justice, than seeing these victims at least get a little bit of justice. No, they're going to keep going and being all those victims just to get to live their ruined lives. Because believe me, when you are the child of an S abuser or get S abused by as a child, and as far as I'm concerned, up until you're about 25 years old, you're still a child, okay? Because your brain is still forming. And if you're one of these children, there is literally no benefit to you to come out and report these people. So this has put, in my opinion, there are unseen consequences that we aren't going to see the consequences of for years, maybe decades to come. And it's because the global elite, I hate using those terms, but their little government deals that they did back and forth were more important to keep quiet than making sure that this type of shit doesn't keep going on. And I personally believe that there's a lot of the same reasons for Diddy to get basically a hand slap after that intense trial, where these women came out and said they were beaten, they were threatened with their jobs, they were threatened with their careers, they were threatened with their lives when they reported Diddy. Well, they just got told the same thing. And it was the same prosecutor who just got fired. And so she's apparently Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, is apparently the fall guy for all of this, right? I don't fucking believe it. There's some similar situation that happened where Diddy got a hand slap and now Epstein is just being flushed down the toilet as if it's nothing. Fuck all of you. It's not nothing to me. It's not nothing to those victims. It's not nothing to those victims' families. Virginia Giuffre just unalived herself a few months ago, you guys. And you're not going to tell me that that isn't a direct direct result of what happened to her over the course of these years trying to report this guy. So I'm sorry that I had to go on that rant. I hope that you will be as interested in as I am in telling the stories of each of the victims that came out and tried to get justice against this guy. And it didn't work because the government secrets and the elite secrets are more important than hundreds, maybe thousands of women. I'm sorry. It's just, I feel as angry as Steve Gonzalez was when I'm Gonsalves. I mean, and I shouldn't compare, but he was so pissed when, that plea deal went down, and I don't blame him for any of his feelings. I feel, and I shouldn't compare what I'm going, my feelings about this to his, but you see what I'm saying. I just feel like this is just an absolute outrage. How are we supposed to move forward as a culture, as a society, when guys like Epstein are just, I think the entire reason he was even starting to get prosecuted and was being held in prison was so that they could get rid of him. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Cinnamon Girl, but I just wanted to do that real quick rant and possible preview for some videos coming out of my channel.
Well, look, I think if you do an Epstein series, you should, because I feel just like you do. And it's so incredibly frustrating, and frustrating doesn't even touch it. It's horrifying that, these women are put in this position and their lives are ruined and there's no consequence, right? And now this thing goes right to the top, right? It is insidious, and it affects everybody. I don't know if there's a good side to this. There isn't, but the fact that there's more light being shed on the issue might be a good thing, and it might help others come forward. And, I think whatever we can do to help support the victims, if you do a series, that would be fabulous. Doing if there's a book, right? Of course, there's going to be a book, but I think that it's heartbreaking. And, yesterday I actually, when she told me that we were going to do the Kohberger thing, I went into, I was looking for the book, and then somehow I got into YouTube, and somehow then I got into Netflix, and the Filthy Rich series, the Epstein series that came out, I think, in 2020 or 2021. It's been a couple of years at least. But it covered, Virginia Giuffre and, 5 or 6 of the other women that came forward at the time. And I think I had watched it when it first came out. But when I watched it yesterday, I saw it with different eyes, because knowing that, Trump is involved, our entire government is doing some, fucking cover up, right?
Yep.
It's so, I mean, I know we don't want to get political here, but it just cements everything for me that, Trump needs to go. He just,
like, let's flush them all. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I know. To me, it's just, this just sealed the deal. Every administration had the opportunity to put this information out, and they didn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
he's just the one that pumped it up. He's the one that tragedy pimped it the most, because it was all him and his people that were saying, yeah, let's get those Epstein files out. Let's prosecute all those people for the victims. No, they didn't give a shit about the victims. It was just a talking point.
Right.
And so that's why I'm saying the world's biggest, most successful fucking tragedy pimp. Right. But think about the message that this has sent to perpetrators out there, to people who think this way, to people who will regularly prey on young women and men, especially underage. But, think of the message that this sends. Oh, well, all I got to do is get some good secrets going that the government wants to hide, and we can just, that's the warped thinking that they have, that they will be able to get away with it too. There's nothing stopping them. What is stopping them?
There's nothing. And, the thing that strikes me as well is, our law enforcement systems, our legal systems, our HR departments, they've all been designed with little regard for, gendered violence. And, even today, survivors are dismissed and told, well, there's not enough here to pursue. Right. So, and then I think how that affects women is, number one, they feel invalidated, of course, and the trauma continues, but they convince themselves that maybe it wasn't really that bad.
Right.
Especially if they know the perpetrator. And, it can take years to, it's just a vicious cycle. And because there are rarely consequences and the systems protect the offenders, it just perpetuates this horrible cycle. Yeah. So breaking chains, anything we can do here. No, I'm here for it.
Just help me break some chains. I just want to
break some chains.
I just want to tell you, we here are the fire breathers. We're the fire breathers. We're gonna break some of those chains that make people believe that what just happened is okay, because it wasn't. Hello, Shift. Thank you, and hi, Adrian. Okay, so, but let's get to the main event here. We got a book to read, and like I said, I have not read one word of this yet. So it's, and For anybody who is here who hasn't listened to us do book club before, what happens is me and Cinnamon trade pages. I read a page, she reads a page, and we usually don't do very much commentary until we get to a chapter break or the end, because we want people to be able to hear, to hear it without us, interrupting them too much. And I make it big on the screen and you can't see us so that you can read along with us. But I'm excited to dive in, and I will start reading the first page. Okay, here we go. Author's note. This book reads like fiction, but none of it is made up. Every detail in these pages has been meticulously sourced through interviews or has been factually documented. Bryan Kohberger has been charged with murdering and now has pled guilty, I'll add, with murdering Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Gonsalves, who became known as the Idaho Four on November 13, 2022. His criminal trial is set to begin in August 2025. That's null and void now. Of course, he is innocent until proven guilty. Well, he just pled guilty. The mofo is guilty. He did it. The book does not offer a view on what the verdict will be. Rather, it is the story of 4 tragic murders and the impact of the crimes on a small American town. This book could not have been written without the help and support of hundreds of people, including the 320 individually interviewed, some many times, by Vicky Ward. We'd especially like to thank the victims' friends and family for giving us so much precious time, hospitality, and insight. The Chapin family and Hunter Johnson for sharing about Ethan. The Gonsalves family for sharing about Kaylee. Ben Mogen and Kim Cheeley, aka Deedle, for sharing about Maddie. And the Alant family, Karen, Matt, and Emily, Xana's best friend, for sharing so much about Xana.
Moscow, Idaho Police Chief James Fry, now retired, generously gave his time and shared his insights on dealing with the most horrific crime of his career amid worldwide media scrutiny. Importantly, he did this without discussion of any of the specifics of this case and investigation, per the gag order put in place by a local judge. The supporting details are drawn from public documents, including court records, and from elsewhere. Thanks also to Kathy Mabut, the Moscow coroner, and retired police officers Paul Kwiatkowski and Brannon Jordan. At the University of Idaho, thank you to Dean of Students Blaine Eccles, as well as to Kelly Quinnett and Bruce Pittman. Thank you also to these University of Idaho Vandals, Ava Wood, Josie Lutrinen, Lindy Beck, Emma Tiger, David Barochoa, Alejandro Salvador, Ben DeWitt, Claire Qualls, Lexi Pattinson, Haidia Tarek, and Daniel Ramirez. Apologies if I screwed up the names. And to the guys at the Sigma Chi fraternity, especially Gus Elwell, Tim DeWolf, and Kyle Fry. Above all, for introductions to Moscow, Idaho residents and culture, thanks to the psychologist, Dr. Rand Walker. Without him, none of this would have been possible. Much appreciation to those who opened the doors of the city of Moscow, Mayor Art Bitej, Pat Greenfield, owner of Butcher's Coffee House, Christ Church Pastor Doug Wilson and his son Nate Wilson, Mark Trivelpiece, owner of the Corner Club, and attorneys Mike Pattinson and Wendy Olson. For invaluable insight into Pullman, Washington perspective, thank you to Washington State University Police Chief Gary Jenkins, former Pullman Mayor Glenn Johnson, Pullman radio host Evan Ellis, and WSU alumni Ben Roberts, Cassie Hansiak, and Diola Adjanujni. Sorry. Lynn, are you there?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was muted. Hi, CJK.
We have to get back into our groove, right?
We gotta get. Yeah, sometimes I forget to mute. Okay. So I was saying that probably the only person out of all the names you read that might have an issue with is the way you said Kathy Mabbitt.
How did was that wrong? Is it May? How do you say it?
Well, I'm assuming it's Mabbitt, but
Mabbitt. Did I say Maybutt?
No, you said Mabbitt.
Oh my gosh.
You said
Mabbitt.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
Oh,
Oh, and by the way, just for you guys, the reason I turned the page too early last time is I'm trying to get rid of this line.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get rid of this progress line at the bottom here. I don't want to refresh because I'm afraid that I'll lose the page. But anyway, that's what I was trying to do. Okay, we'll continue reading now. For a sense of Kohberger's life in the Poconos, thanks to Mark and Jack Bayless, Connie Saba, Josh Ferraro, Chad Pittipren, Brittany Slavin, Jesse Harris, John Gress, Bob Himes, and Casey Arntz. And for taking us into the online community of their University of Idaho Case to Session Facebook group page, thanks to Kristen Cameron and Alina Smith. Here is the story of the Idaho Four, their young lives cut short by unspeakable violence. It's an exploration of a complex criminal investigation and a timeless portrait of the worst and best in us. James Patterson and Vicky Ward. Prologue here. Your turn.
Chapter 1, Wenatchee, Washington, November 13th, 2022. Chief, we've got a bad situation. James Fry, the God-fearing chief of the Moscow, Idaho Police Department, picks up the call from Captain Tyson Barrett, informing him of a mass homicide, 4 murders at 1122 King Road. Barrett has the inside track. Ava and Emily, 2 of the kids in the group sitting outside the rental house, work at the football stadium. The Kibbe Dome is under Barrett's purview, so he knows them well. It's Sunday, and Fry is about an hour into the 4-hour drive back from an overnight visit with a friend in Wenatchee, Washington, 150 miles east of Seattle. Whatever has happened, whoever the victims are, it already feels too close for comfort. In the passenger seat, listening, is Julie Fry. The chief's whip-smart wife of 30-odd years also happens to be the newly elected Leda County clerk. Chief Fry will later say he should have let Julie drive, but now it's all he can do to absorb what Barrett tells him. 4 young people, likely UI students, stabbed in their bedrooms, in their beds, in a residence that's part of a large cluster of student housing right on campus line, and no one heard a thing? Fry's put in 30 years on the force. The common assumption about small-town police chiefs is that they have no experience with murder, but this is not Fry's first brush with homicides on campus.
FYI, I'm pretty sure it's
Latah.
Yeah. And Music City Mom, what's XP status? Nightbot is my only mod aside from me, if that's your question. Nightbot is my mod. Okay, Nightbot goes out and digs up dirt on people and brings it back to me. Just kidding. Nightbot is a sneaky little
SOB.
Yeah, little SOB. Okay, continuing to read. In 2007, when he was still a sergeant, he worked on 3 homicides in just 1 year. Wow. One involved a University of Idaho student, David Boss, who was shot by a former classmate. In 2011, as a lieutenant, Fry oversaw the investigation of another university tragedy. That summer, psychology professor Ernesto Bustamante, who had a history of mental illness, fatally shot Kathy Benoit, a 22-year-old graduate student he'd previously dated, outside her home, then later turned the gun on himself. Even so, Fry already knows that this one is different. He knows this is going to test the department in an unprecedented way. He also knows that this is too big for Moscow to handle without help. In a rural area like this, there's a general view that it's all hands on deck. He's going to need support from the state, probably the FBI, but First things first, it's not his job to run point at the scene of the crime. When he was a detective, which was not so long ago, he headed up investigations, but now he's chief, and chiefs who get in the way of their teams can really screw things up. His role today is to stay in close touch with his officers, provide whatever support is needed. Part of leading, Fry believes, is trusting and delegating, but Fry knows that when adrenaline is running high, anyone can forget things. So he rattles off a punch list to Tyson Barrett, realizing from experience that his captain is out in front of him. Have you reached Bill? He asked, referring to veteran county prosecutor Bill Thompson, who has never lost a case.
In their parallel careers, the chief and the prosecutor have worked every crime scene together. They meet every single day at 8 a.m. Fry's belief in Thompson, the only prosecutor in Idaho who has ever won a murder conviction in the absence of a dead body, is unwavering. On his way, Barrett says, forensics. The two forensics officers, Lawrence Mowry and Andrew Fox, are Fry's appointments. State. A scene as big as this needs help from the Idaho State Police forensics team based in Lewiston, about 30 miles south of Moscow. On their way. Who have you got there? Barrett tells him that Mitch Nunez was the first officer on the scene. And at this, Fry blanches. My heart broke, he said later. His 37-man department runs like a family. 22-year-old Nunez is like a son to Fry, a baby. He knows that his youngest officer will never be able to erase from his mind the horrific crime scene that he's just witnessed, that he will be forever altered, and Fry will need to find Nunez and his wife the resources to cope with the trauma. Mental health is not something that was discussed when Fry was a rookie, and he believes that was a mistake. PTSD, according to Fry's longtime ride-along partner and best friend, Paul Kwiatkowski, lingers as he sorts through memories that won't dim. Fry is going to take care of his young officers and their families, make sure they feel supported. Speaking of, has the university been notified? Affirmative. Where's Brett Payne?
2 months prior, Fry promoted Brett Payne, a 32-year-old cop and military veteran whom he hired in 2020 to detective corporal, a new position in the department that Fry created for a reason. Ordinarily, detectives are the higher rank of sergeant, but Fry had been faced with a specific set of challenges. He had run a small department at a time when applications for jobs in law enforcement were dwindling. This was shortly after an officer in Minnesota had been convicted in the death of George Floyd. Oh gosh. The chief decided to free up some of the sergeants to learn the administrative part of police work, how to actually run a department, pay bills, budget, and so forth. Which means today, Fry realizes Payne will be the one to lead this investigation, organize the department into teams, talk about diving into the deep end. That's scary. He was a really new guy. It's understandable, but it's also scary. Tyson responds that yes, Payne is on his way to the crime scene. He'll get there at 4 p.m., which will be ahead of Fry. He presses harder on the gas and dials a number. Rand, he says into the phone to Dr. Rand Walker, a local therapist who has counseled his officers before, I need you to be on standby. The rest of the drive is a blur of staccato calls. Chief Gary Jenkins, the head of the Washington State University Police over in Pullman and former chief of the Pullman PD, phones. Do you need backup from us? Jenkins asked. The two departments often tag team. Moscow's last convicted murderer, John Lee, had in fact been caught on the run by officers in Pullman. But Fry is cautious. In 2015, they knew who the murderer was.
This time, they have no idea. Fry is aware of the importance of locking down an investigation, keeping information on a need-to-know basis to stop leaks that could jeopardize it. He and Bill Thompson are completely in sync on this. Thompson never speaks to anyone about an investigation until he gets to sentencing, and even then, he keeps it short. And there are too many unanswered questions right now. It's not safe or prudent for Fry to involve another team. Not yet, Fry tells Jenkins. I'll keep you posted. Barrett shared with Fry that a knife sheath was found in one of the rooms. It's imperative this doesn't get out. Somewhere there's a maniacal murder on the loose who is almost certainly watching their every move. Who in God's name could have done this, Fry wonders. And again, he presses harder on the gas. One good thing about being the police chief is that no one is likely to arrest him for speeding.
Cute. Okay, as we go into chapter 2, I just want to say it's interesting that they mention all of these officers who were taking part in the investigation, because I remember all of them by name early on, because they were also getting raked over the coals, all these people. In fact, one creator, probably a lot of you know that this case has kind of divided from between pro-burgers and guilters. Pro-burgers are the ones that believe Bryan Kohberger was not guilty, and they had fewer and fewer and fewer reasons to believe he was not guilty, but they kept diving in. And one of the people they attacked was Brett Payne. And actually, one channel I know of, at least, maybe more, doxed his home and showed, a photo of his home, the full address and everything. So these officers in the beginning went through a lot, and you're hearing now from the other side of it that, and they were all really new at this as well. And so you can almost see the reading in the tea leaves that, investigation as complicated and as gory and as horrible as this is probably going to be a huge challenge for this department, especially since they, were low on recruiting new officers and being able to promote more experienced officers. He was clearly facing a deficit there. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered it. I'm interested to see how this plays out in the book, because I think you're right. The officers involved, they're the sort of the unsung heroes in this case, and many of them, just, well, as you said, some of them got doxxed, and the PTSD that has to emerge from dealing with something like this is probably takes years, I'm sure, if ever, to unravel.
Yep. And this is the type of crime that, probably only happens once in a lifetime in a particular area.
Right.
And these guys are hit with it. And guess what? They actually found their guy. They found the right guy. You have to give that to them at least.
Absolutely.
They found the guy. All right, I'm going to keep reading. Chapter 2, 1 hour later. The notifications about death are the thing Chief Fry dreads most on his job. It takes seconds to give or receive the news, yet the needlessly lost lives haunt his dreams. He can recall each and every one as he hurtles toward Moscow. Take January 22nd, 2013, nearly a decade ago. He'd been a lieutenant. A couple had shown up at the station, wondering anxiously where their son was. A Latah County Sheriff's deputy had found a body, and the next day and called it in. The corpse had been on the ground for 2 days. It looked like the kid, a college student named Joseph Wiederich, had frozen to death. He'd been intoxicated. The department spread out, trying to piece together what had happened, and Fry became the point person for the kid's parents. Notifying parents of the loss of their children is something you never get better at, and tragically, student deaths are not that unusual. There's one practically every semester. Typically, it's the result of a car accident that occurs during the long drive most of the kids take to cross the state in treacherous conditions in winter. One year, Fry taught a class at the university, and right before Thanksgiving break, he told his students, "Remember, drive extra slow. Your parents don't care what time you get there.
They just want you there." Fry may be a cop, but he's also a husband and the father of 4 kids, 3 daughters and a son. I understand what that's like as a parent. To drop a child off, he'll say. He knows that parents expect their kids to be safe in college, and he also knows that sometimes they aren't. The tragedy with young Joseph Wiederich was a double whammy for Fry because it seemed like no one in the community helped the kid out by notifying law enforcement that he was in trouble on the night he ended up dying. His body was found 2 miles from town. 2 miles. Fry knew that someone must have spotted the drunk kid while he was walking. Sure enough, when all the details about Wiederich's final night were in, and when Fry put together a map for Joseph's mom, Michelle, it emerged that Joseph walked in a circuitous 8 miles before lying down to rest one last time. Various people in the town did see the kid. They could have helped him by calling the MPD when he stumbled into their backyards or, in a few cases, into their homes. But instead, they just watched him or sent him on his way. One lady later said, "I just didn't want to get him in trouble." Joseph would have been in trouble. He would have been locked up and most likely given a criminal citation, but nothing more. Fry tells everyone he works with that the key to serving the community is respect, respect, respect. You ever see the movie Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze? He'll ask people. If they haven't, he tells them to watch it.
The movie's message is his message, the one he instills in his officers. Be nice, be nice, be nice. And until it's time not to be nice, be nice. If you treat people with respect, even when you arrest them, they'll thank you. But in 2013, the town's residents seemed unaware of the chief's message of police compassion. The tragic story of Joseph Wiederich that he put together went something like this. On January 20th, 2 a.m., a Moscow woman hears a noise downstairs. She goes to take a look. Is it an animal? It's a human, a drunk human, an 18-year-old man, clearly disoriented, smelling of alcohol, his blonde hair disheveled, is stumbling around in her basement. She doesn't know how he got in. He's lost. Safe, safe, he mumbles to her. It's clear he wants to stay, sleep it off. But she asks him to leave. He'll figure it out. No need to call the police. It's black outside, snow drifts piled high, but students often wander drunk, a nuisance with their noise and their parties. Joseph shuffles off down Highland Drive. 3 a.m., bang, bang. He's knocking on another door, this one on Mountain View Road. The owner looks through the window. Go home, he says to the kid. Again, there's no call to the police. The townsfolk think they're protecting him. It's a mistake. 4 a.m., bang, bang. A third homeowner, oh my God, looks out the window, shrugs, and goes back to bed. Joseph wanders away. He's trying to get back to his dorm, but has no idea where he's headed.
Somehow, he ends up near Paradise Creek, 2 miles north of the city. Joseph trips and falls. He hits the frozen creek. His body sinks like a dead weight through the ice into the frigid water. He fights. He climbs out. He crawls under a nearby bridge and rests and rests. His body is discovered by police 2 days later. It emerges that Joseph Wiederich had drunk too much at a Saturday night party given by the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity. Fry doesn't like to toot his own horn, but he reckons that since he became chief in 2016, attitudes in town have changed a lot about a lot of things, including over-the-top college drinking. He isn't stupid enough to think you can stop college kids from drinking, but he believes you can take steps to keep it in check. You can, for example, go, as he does, to Rose Hours, look at the keg list, and figure out where each keg is. If a keg is somewhere it isn't supposed to be, if, say, it's with a group of underage kids, you take it away. Nicely, but that's what you do. One time, Fry and the guys took 42 cases of Keystone Light away from a fraternity party because they saw a 19-year-old pushing the cart. So yes, you've got to teach them that the law is the law. If Fry and his ride-along partner, Captain Paul Kwiatkowski, had been called to deal with drunk Joseph Wiederich, sure, they might have locked him up, but he'd have still had his life ahead of him. Fry's upset that people in Moscow don't get that. What else can we do? He asked Paul one time. Keep going, his friend and colleague said. Don't give up.
The two guys had looked at the framed quotations on Fry's wall. The chief knows them by heart, but he still reads them every day. The first is from Philippians 4:7. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. The second is from Theodore Roosevelt's speech on citizenship. In April 1910, after finishing his second term as U.S. president, Roosevelt delivered the Man in the Arena speech at the Sorbonne in Paris. He was on his way to Oslo, Norway, to officially accept the Nobel Peace Prize, which he had been awarded in 1906 for his efforts to end the Russo-Japanese War. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who at the best knows, in the end, the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. For I thinks about those words, who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So as the chief reaches the city's outskirts, he takes a deep breath. He knows that with this startlingly awful and strange case, now more than ever, he needs to get a critical message through. The Moscow police on his watch are to be trusted, not feared. Interesting. So we're basically getting the context under which the Moscow Police Department is doing, entering into this horrific investigation, and understanding the mindset of Chief Fry. And I remember when this first happened, I was actually impressed by what they did, because they launched a website where they were posting daily updates until they found Bryan Kohberger. And I'd never seen a police department do that before. I thought it was actually very forward thinking. But of course, the police and the police are always under pressure and under fire. And also at that time is when Steve Gonsalves was coming out and saying, there's all this information and they're not giving it to you. So there was so much controversy over the way the police department was handling things. I don't know if anyone would be happy with how a police department is handling things after their child was murdered along with 3 other people. That's my thinking on that. But there's no way to be happy. There's no, but I didn't feel like the police departments were intentionally or actively foiling things with stupid mistakes, Yeah,
it seems to me that they were doing the best they could with what they had, given the horrific situation that none of them had faced before.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're on to chapter 3.
Chapter 3, 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, 2 hours earlier. Officer Nunez radios the police station and reaches Sergeant Shane Gunderson, who's been taking advantage of his quiet Sunday morning shift to plan a hiking trip to Mount Bora on the other side of the state. This is serious, Nunez tells him. Gunderson snaps out of his boredom, leaps into his car, and heads for King Road. As he rides, he phones Tyson Barrett. His boss, the commander of the campus police, is on call that day. Barrett says he's already sent patrol officers Smith and Warner to join Nunez, who's taping off the area around the house. Barrett knows what to do, and not just because he's an experienced cop. He was the sergeant assigned to Moscow's previous famous homicide, the case of John Lee, a mentally ill man who went on a shooting spree in January 2015, killing 3 people, including his adoptive mother. My goodness. But Barrett has another advantage here. He's a vandal, the name of the school's athletic teams, a nickname that comes from a long ago U of I basketball team said to have vandalized its opponents. He knows the school, the students, the faculty, the administration, the culture.
He's been attached to the university off and on for years. He worked it years ago as a sergeant. His daughter is a student. When Barrett arrives, he recognizes Ava Wood, a neighbor who rushed out with blankets for the group of students sitting in front of the house at 1122 King Road. Do you know the people inside, Ava? Barrett asks. She nods, and Barrett looks at her, eyes filled with sympathy. And then he turns to the front door. All those years of training and experience kick in. He runs through his checklist. Clear the residence and run tape around the perimeter. 2, call for medical assistance if needed. There is no need. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me read that again. 1. Clear the residence and run tape around the perimeter. Check. 2. Call for medical assistance if needed. There is no need. 3. Secure the scene. Check. Nunes has put up the tape. Barrett assigns one cop to watch the front of the house, another the back. 4. Call in the detectives who will lead the investigation. There will be 5 detectives. John Lawrence, who is about to retire, Danny Vargas, Brett Payne, Detective Corporal, and forensics detectives Lawrence Mowry and Andrew Fox. Barrett knows it's important to call only those cops who will play essential roles. Oh, with each body comes the risk of contaminating evidence.
5. Notify the police chief. 6. Notify the county prosecutor, Bill Thompson. 7. Notify the other Moscow PD captains, Anthony Dollinger and Roger Lanier. 8. Call the sergeant running the Idaho State Police detectives. Moscow is going to need the state police's forensics team at a bare minimum. This is too big for the MPD to handle alone. State has forensics lab. Moscow does not. 9. Call the university's president, provost, and dean of students. 10. Call the coroner, but not until all the evidence is collected. Someone might accidentally move something and contaminate the scene. 11. Notify the public if there is a threat. Barrett knows, not just from his years of experience, but from common sense, that the probability of some random stranger knifing 4 people to death in their bedrooms is almost nil. There's a connection somewhere between whoever did this and at least one of the victims. There always is. That's what the police are going to have to find. The patrol officers correctly begin with the people in front of them. Why is this young student, Hunter Johnson, holding a kitchen knife? What happened here? Hunter sits with the patrol officers and tells them what happened as best he knows.
They let him go. Sirens start to wail. But the first emergency vehicle that arrives is unnecessary. It's the volunteer ambulance, the medical responders to the 911 call. It stays a couple of minutes, then at the cop's request, leaves. It's much too late for anyone to need medical attention. Ugh, that is so sad.
Yeah, we know it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, and when you hear the 911 call too, I watched part of that series that's now on Prime. It's called One Night in Idaho. I feel like their explanation, they interview the kids that were inside, and Hunter Johnson was Ethan, one of Ethan's best friends, and he was the first one to really go in there, see what went on, and then he came out and blocked everybody else from going in and seeing it. And one of the girls said he saved all of us years of trauma,
right.
by doing that.
He had the presence of mind to do that. Amazing.
Yeah. All right, so part 1, the innocents.
Okay, chapter 1. Moscow, Idaho, August 18th, 2019. It's bid day at the University of Idaho. Kaylee Gonzalez and Maddie Mogan chose the University of Idaho precisely because of its strong Greek life. Nearly 1/4 of UI students take part. The two look alike, blonde. Maddie's is natural, Kaylee's is dyed. Best friends, both freshmen, take their seats in the auditorium. They glance nervously at the throng of women packed around them like canned sardines, all clutching envelopes. Inside each is the name of the sorority the student had gotten into. Kaylee's and Maddie's top choice is Alpha Phi, or A Phi as it's known, pronounced A Phi. As one of its members described the sorority, it's a place for blondes, for homecoming queens, for popular girls, leaders, girls who like to party, and to get ready to party. Last night, to help the newcomers make up their minds, the sororities invited the women to so-called preference ceremonies at their top choices. At AFI, one of the sisters told a sad but moving story. Her boyfriend, a football star, had tragically lost his battle with cancer, and the support of the house was what got her through. Both girls know that Greek life isn't just about parties. The friendships and networks and bonds formed in each house are an important factor in most students' social and later professional lives.
Maddie wants a career in marketing, Kaylee in IT. Kaylee and Maddie drove to campus together and spent the past few days rushing together, and the past 6 years doing everything together. Maddie has been entering Kaylee's house without knocking, just like she's part of Kaylee's noisy, happy, hectic, vast family since they were both 12 years old. Maddie is more of a girly girl than Kaylee, who used to be a bit of a tomboy. Kaylee is more of an extrovert than Maddie and maybe more of a hustler. She's had to get what she wants given the size of the Gonsalves household. Kaylee has 4 siblings. Maddie is an only child, and her home, by contrast, is quiet. Since their early teens, these two shared summer boat rides on the lake in Coeur d'Alene, winter bathing in the nearby hot springs, trips to Seattle, beach vacations in Puerto Rico, in Grand Cayman, and Hawaii. They've never spent more than a few days apart. Maddie recently heard that UI sororities like to separate girls who know each other well. Apparently, the point of Greek life is to make new friends, not cling to old ones. Here in the auditorium, Maddie waits to learn if AFI will choose Kaylee over her. It's a daunting moment as the clock ticks on. 20 seconds to go. The hundreds of freshmen girls in the auditorium count down together. What a weird thing. I didn't know that they did this.
Me either.
10 seconds, 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2. Maddie and Kaylee tear open their envelopes. There are screams all around, women sobbing, running. Maddie's eyes blur with tears. She didn't make AFI, and Kaylee did.
The slip of paper in Maddie's envelope tells her she's been picked by Pi Beta Phi, known as Pi Phi, pronounced Pi Phi, in a perfectly respectable sorority, but not generally considered a top house on campus. Within seconds, there's a stampede for the exit as the women race out to the lawn to find their new sorority sisters standing out there under signs. Here now isn't the time to say goodbye, but for Maddie and Kaylee, it's an ending and it's a beginning.
Wow, my younger son, actually both of my kids went into fraternities as soon as they went into college, but one of them, my younger one, ended up like part of his rush process, I guess it is, whatever. He had to shave his entire head of hair. the way they did it is that you have to do the dare that your big brother did, like you adopted.
Yeah.
And so his big brother, when he rushed, had to get his hair shaved, and that's what my son had to do. And my son, let me tell you, has a beautiful head of hair that he loves. It was actually I'm not comparing his trauma to what happened with these girls, in their murders. But it was kind of traumatic for him to lose all his hair.
I bet, especially if he had like great hair, right? It's part of him, and it's like losing a part of your body, I guess.
Of course it grows back, right?
Yeah.
So it's all grown back in its glory, but he walked around completely bald until that happened. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. All right, let's keep going. Chapter 2, Moscow, Idaho, August 20th, 2019. Maddie's a talented photographer and she's done some modeling, so she knows how to make her Instagram seductive. The Pi sisters, or Pi sister, want to build up their house's reputation so they can be more competitive with the top ones like AFI. Maddie does her part, creating a scene befitting a Disney movie. 7 beaming modern-day Cinderellas, Maddie among them, pose on the steps of the Pi Phi sorority house in matching white tank tops. The four older sisters have on matching pink miniskirts, and the 3 younger girls wear matching denim shorts. The archway behind them is covered with pink balloons. Maddie captions it, I ran home, hashtag pi beta phi UI. Kaylee comments, that's my best friend. I love you so much, for life, baby. Of course, gosh, this friendship. Of course, Kaylee knows how disappointed Maddie is, and she hurts because Maddie is hurting. Showing wisdom beyond their years, the friends accept the idea that widening their respective social circles. One moment. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. Widening their perspective social circles will be good for both of them. In other words, they'll play the game of Greek life. Kaylee can't fail to express her own unmitigated joy about her acceptance into AFI, which is why she posts a photo of herself smiling with two new sorority sisters in front of the Alpha Phi house, AFI house, with the caption, what Flo Rida said, welcome to my house, referencing the rapper's 2015 hit, My House.
Maddie comments, so happy for you, bestie. Their public Instagrams, TikToks, and Snapchats tell the story of their growing closeness with their new sisters and new best friends. Privately, Kaylee and Maddie remain as tight as ever, quietly maintaining their lifelong bond, IRL, in real life, as the expression goes. Maddie's posts reflect her new friendship with sorority sisters Sophia Whitehead, who is in the year above her, and Ashlyn Couch, who, like her, is from Coeur d'Alene. Kaylee's posts show weekend activities, attending U of I football games on campus, traveling to Seattle with her AFI sorority sisters, and nuzzling her boyfriend, Jack Ducour. What they don't post is pictures with each other. The two keep up this illusion of separateness well into the next semester, when the balloon of unreality surrounding them is abruptly pierced. In March 2020, COVID strikes.
I can just see what's coming here because COVID was horrible too. Mm-hmm. COVID was just a nightmare for everyone, right? Everyone. And like my
students.
My kids were jostled around. One of them fell back, has had to extend his university years because of COVID. It was really, really, really awful. So you can almost see what's coming here. Harlot says, odd that one phi is, I know one is phi and one is phi. Maybe they'll do a faux. I think that it's just like a cultural thing, Harlot. Yes, they get to say whatever they want, right?
It's confusing.
I'm a phi, I'm a faux, you're a fum.
Phi, phi, faux, fum.
Phi, faux, fun. Okay, let's keep going. Chapter 3, Rathdrum, Idaho, March 2020. At the end of spring break, Kaylee and Maddie both receive emails containing the same instructions. Don't come back to the sorority house. School is going remote. The girls are home in Rathdrum and the neighboring town of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. For them, it's like old times. They have each other. And given the stress surrounding the virus, they decide that pretense, even on social media, is no longer important. The day after Maddie's birthday, May 25th, I have a family member with that birthday. The day after Maddie's birthday, Maddie Mayday posts the first Instagram photo of the two best friends together since their arrival at UI. The two of them are hugging, wearing pretty summer dresses, standing by the lake. The easiest person to celebrate, Kaylee writes, here's to you, my sweet Maddie May. Later that summer, Kaylee gives Maddie a shout out. Maddie Mogan, thanks for always being my personal photographer. It's a source of pride to Kaylee that Maddie has been asked to run the official Instagram account for the Pi Phis. It's a huge honor. It's also an irony. Maddie, initially disappointed to be joining Pi Beta Phi, is now responsible for attracting recruits and making the house look as appealing as Alpha Phi or AFI.
She's good at this. Thanks to her pretty pictures, despite the isolation of COVID, the number of freshman women interested in joining is climbing. Few people in the Gonzalez family think COVID is the big deal that UI administrators believe it is. The Gonzalez children have been raised not to trust the government or institutions. They are libertarians. They live to bet on themselves. Kaylee's dad, Steve, works in IT at the hospital in Coeur d'Alene, an hour and a half north of Moscow. Over dinners at home, he tells his family that the only people who are dying in the hospital are those who have pre-existing conditions. Mostly, they're obese. He thinks the university is making a mistake not letting the kids back. So does Kylie. As the weeks stretch on, her frustration grows. Paying to take college classes over Zoom is bad enough, but bills keep coming in from AFI. She's livid that she and her AFI sisters are paying live-in dues for the house they're not allowed to occupy. Following orders unquestioningly is not a Gonzalez thing to do. So Kaylee queries the chapter president. Why are they paying for nothing? If they can't get some of that money returned, Kaylee says, she doesn't want to go back to the house in the fall. The rules are the rules, the president tells Kaylee. The house won't negotiate, especially with a new sister. None of the sisters can move out of the house until they're juniors and have accumulated a certain number of service points.
Even then, the AFI admins add another hurdle. Sisters need to pay for both living in and living out. So in late August, Kaylee's stuck returning to the AFI house, and it's a litany of COVID health and safety protocols. Kaylee doesn't want to do the physical distancing or the regular testing or the mandatory guarantee procedures. Not any of it. But she's Kaylee. So she faces the reset head-on, posting, "Now let's get back to it." This year, the girls who are rushing sororities have their smiles hidden behind masks. Coffee meetings are held on Zoom. Hugging is not allowed. Still, Kaylee takes a liking to two of the freshmen, Emma Tiger, a beautiful brunette from Vancouver, Washington, whose soccer career was sidelined by an injury, and Jaden Anderson, a blonde from Spokane. One of the most important rituals among sorority sisters is choosing bigs and littles. A big mentors her chosen little through college, academically and socially. Emma and Jaden are eager to become Kaylee's littles, partly because of her extraordinary enthusiasm and can-do attitude. When Kaylee hears there might be an in-house quarantine on the weekend, she whisks Emma and Jaden off with her to Coeur d'Alene. She takes them shopping, to concerts, for drinks, to coffee. She makes them baskets of goodies. Gosh, what a sweet girl. She also was a girl you don't mess with, Emma recalled. Nobody would ever say a bad word about me in front of her because she's not okay with it. If there was some guy that was being rude to me at a party, Kaylee was the first one to say something to him. On Big Little Night in October, Kaylee surprises the two by waiting for them, shrouded in pink wrapping paper in the parking lot by a large off-campus apartment building known as the Whites.
When the two freshmen find Kaylee and unwrap her, their screams of delight echo several blocks away. At this point, the two younger girls are still caught up in the excitement and honor of being accepted into AFI. They don't yet know about the pressure that comes with being in the pretty girl's house. Darker times are just around the corner.
I really do appreciate getting to know the victims more, which you don't get a lot of that in these true crime stories, really understanding not who the victims are because it's interesting to the murder, but who they are,
right.
who
their backstories, right?
Yeah, because you usually don't get this. Hey, Pick Me, you've read many of James Patterson's book. I've only read one or two, but I know they're very, very popular. I'll be interested to hear what you think about this one as compared to the other ones. All right, let's keep going. I want to plow through this baby as much as possible. Chapter 4, Greek Row, Moscow, Idaho, September 2020. I'm Xana, pronounced Xanax. Without the X. I heard
That's so funny.
It's so collegey, to do that. I was watching that documentary, and that's one of the things that they said about her is that she says, "I'm Xana, pronounce Xanax without the X." is is how the petite brunette introduced herself. I mean, you just see her personality right there. Is the petite brunette how the petite brunette introduced herself to the Pie Fies on the first day, and everyone laughed. Her name is Xana Kernodle, and she's as irrepressible as Tigger in the Winnie the Pooh books. Always smiling with when I'm with my Zan, Maddie captions a pair of Instagram photos, posts of the two of them together on September 11th. Maddie tells Kaylee she is impressed with Xana because despite her freshman status, she's not afraid of anyone or anything. Xana isn't much used to rules. She grew up in Post Falls, Idaho, pretty much without her mother, Kara, who had been battling drug addiction much of her life and gave up custody of Xana and her sister, Jasmine, in 2006. Xana adores her dad, Jeff, but he traveled frequently for work, so Xana and Jazzy were often left on their own. Oh my God. Fucking mother. Anyway, along with her best friend, Emily Alant, a pretty feisty blonde from Boise and a fellow new Pi-Fi, Xana regularly busts out of the house at night and on the weekends, even though they've both been told to stay inside and stay sober. One evening, Maddie introduces Xana and Emily to a group of Sigma Chi brothers, and she's surprised and amused to discover the two new girls had already met them on an illicit night out.
That was pretty cool, actually, Maddie says to Kaylee the next morning. The two are tiring of the enforced restrictions in this life they had once wanted so badly. At AFI, I have a worse deal than you do, Kaylee tells Maddie, who is sympathetic. Under the stress of the COVID restrictions, Kaylee explains the bitchiness for which the house is infamous is coming to the fore. AFI is turning into a nightmare version of Mean Girls. I hear you, says Maddie. We didn't sign up for this. They begin to discuss their options for living off campus. Kaylee finds an apartment in the Whites. Maddie's got her eye on a house right next to it, 1122 King Road, where some older Pi-Fis like Sophia, her big, and Ashlyn, her best friend in the house, are planning to move. The house sticks up on the hill like a finger. It's got a deck in the back, so it will make a fantastic party space. Even better, Maddie tells Kaylee it signifies freedom. It's going to be great, she says.
Chapter 5, Moscow, Idaho, Valentine's Day, 2021. You forgot your wallet? Maddie asks Jake Schreiger. Maddie is all dressed up, even though it's just breakfast. She's wearing jeans with an oversized beige sweater that falls artfully off her shoulders. It should be obvious to Jake that she's taking this seriously. It's Valentine's Day. She told Kaylee it was a date. She told Xana and Emily it was a date. They are all eager to hear how it goes. And Jake has forgotten his wallet. The guy sitting opposite her in this cute, it's so kid like, oh, I forgot my wallet. Oh my God. The guy sitting opposite her in this cute downtown Moscow cafe called the Breakfast Club is a junior in the Delta Tau Delta fraternity who's been hotly pursuing her, pining for her is how some of her friends put it, for over a year. Maddie always had a lot of admirers, though Jake is handsome, nice, fun, and a great water skier. For some reason, she's always kept him at bay. Maddie has to give the guy credit, though. He's never given up. He's stuck around. He's grown on her, and she's thinking of relenting. Now he's stuck her with the bill. Maddie can already hear the girls shrieking with laughter. She knows they'll make fun of her. Sure enough, when she tells them, they think it's hilarious. That night, Emily posts a picture of Maddie, all made up, false lashes on, clearly ready to go out on Snapchat.
It's cheekily captioned, didn't even pay for the date. Still, the handsome upperclassman succeeds in winning Maddie's affections. Soon after Valentine's Day, Maddie commits to Jake. She stops seeing other guys, and from then on, they're a thing. Just over a year later, on April 27th, she'll post a throwback on Instagram of some of the couple's best times together, boating in Coeur d'Alene, at the Watershed Music Festival, hanging out at school. Maddie captions the post, 1 year with my best friend. Life is so much sweeter with you in it. I love you lots and lots. Jake will soon be graduating and moving to Boise for a job. Maddie wants to move there too, get a summer job and be with him. Why? Because Jake, she has decided, is her future.
Oh. These backstories are killing me.
I
Okay.
know.
Chapter 6, Moscow, Idaho, fall 2021. Family breakfast is Kaylee's conscious effort to maintain her bonds with her 4 best friends from Ava, Ava, Zoe, Katie, and Phoebe. Kaylee is looking in the kitchen of her off-campus apartment at the Whites. The pan is sizzling as the pancakes she's making turn golden brown. They look and smell delicious. She whips out her phone so she can document the moment with an Instagram post. Helping Kaylee out in the kitchen is her boyfriend since middle school, Jack DeCoeur. Like Maddie, he came to UI mostly because he wanted to be with Kaylee. Jack is living off campus in a house close to Kaylee with a bunch of his Beta Theta Pi fraternity brothers. He and Kaylee go to games together. They share custody of a golden doodle, Murphy. She even includes Jack in her AFI Instagram post. He's family. Everyone loves Jack. An Idaho all-state tennis player, he has strawberry blonde hair and freckles. In photos, he bears more than a passing resemblance to the Harry Potter character Ron Weasley, but in real life, he is considerably more handsome. Jack is as quiet and calm as Kaylee is effervescent. He's a rock for Kaylee as long as she wants one. And to be sure, her family and friends have always had the impression that Kaylee decides tempo and terms of the relationship.
Recently, though, there have been small signs of trouble in paradise. Kaylee's been feeling an itch to do things on her own, not because she wants to part from Jack, but because she likes being independent. Jack, I need 5 hours to get ready, Kaylee will tell him as she sits down at her vanity. That means he needs to go away, and he does. Kaylee has a lot on her mind now that she's finally won her freedom and is living off campus. She wants to travel, to experience the world, and to learn what's out there beyond Coeur d'Alene. And she wants to make money. COVID helped expand her professional network online, and she's made connections at Extreme Networks, an IT firm in Austin, Texas, doing work she's interested in pursuing full time. Her dad and her brother are in IT, so it's in the blood. The job would require a big move and probably leaving Jack behind. If Jack is serious about her, he might have to play the long game and wait, which is what he's doing now as she flips pancake after pancake and piles them into a stack. Almost ready, Jack asks her. Kaylee pours more batter into the sizzling pan. It'll be a little while.
So, since they bring up Jack, I'm happy to read for you, and hello, other people coming in. Yeah, I noticed that Jay was reading it, Jessica, but I didn't click in because I didn't want to read one word of this book until we all got together and read it together. So I'm glad to hear it's a good book, and I can tell it's already that it's very well written. But this part, now that they bring up Jack, it just brings me back to how he was immediately accused and raked over the coals by YouTubers in the beginning. And of course we didn't know who. Hey, YouTube bad actors, good to see you all. Even though, of course, we didn't know who did it, I remember seeing a picture of that kid and going, there's nothing in my brain that says, yes, this is a kid that would commit this kind of a murder. And, and you look at Bryan Kohberger and go, yep, this guy, at least I do. I look at Bryan Kohberger and go, yep, no, there's like no question in my mind that this is a type of guy that could do it. I felt really hard. I think Jack even still gets to this day a lot of guff online, and that's one of the things that is so sad about these true crime cases, especially when they're high profile, is that it puts all of the surrounding people in the dust. It just silences them, and through just absolute sadistic comments and blame and things that they don't deserve. And a lot of it is because of people just wanting to make money out of being salacious and getting that algorithm going up. So it was that really bothered me. Jessica says, Anyone else go to the Kohberger's channels for rage bait? And I agree, BK's post-incident behavior and first pick revealed reeked of guilt to me. You know, not that, but why the hell did he shave his eyebrows? Why the hell did, like, that's one big fucking thing. Who fucking shaves their eyebrows and says I'm innocent? Well, obviously he wasn't innocent, because his eyebrows were a big part of the you know, of identifying him, Dylan identifying him in the room. I know. That's the thing. Like, I watch her channel nowadays for like 1 or 2 minutes, and I'm like, I just want to punch something. She is so disgusting, and she got all of her subscribers out of being that disgusting. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to. Harlot says I like how it's written, but I don't like that they included some of the things that they did. Interesting. You know, it doesn't surprise me. That's her move. She harasses people. That's what she does. She's a convicted telecommunications harasser. Okay. Who is so disgusting? We're talking specifically, Jessica, about a specific channel called, yes, thank you. You already know. Thank you. All right, let's keep going. We don't need to give her any more attention. All right. Is it my turn?
Or is it yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We shall keep reading. Let's hear more about these victims. Moscow, Idaho, August 2021. Tomorrow is bid day, and Ethan Chapin and his brother Hunter have options. In the freshman dorms, Ethan, all 6'4" of him, turns on the shower, stands under the torrent of hot water, and closes the stall door. He wants a moment of privacy. He wants a moment to mull over the choice he's facing. The Chapin triplets grew up in Mount Vernon, Washington, 2 hours north of Seattle, and they seem to have it all: looks, height, smarts, athletic ability, likability. Ethan is a superb athlete. He played varsity basketball. Hunter was right there with him, but always one step behind, because sometimes on the bench. Their blonde sister, Maisie, played varsity soccer. All three of them are first-rate golfers. Wow. And all three of them are as tight as can be. They've shared dorms and meals since they were born. Before even during her pregnancy, Stacy Chapin, her mom, used to joke that Hunter, who was born last, was on top in the penthouse. It's unsaid but understood that whatever choice Ethan makes, Hunter will follow. That's the dynamic of their relationship. Always has been. So Ethan is thinking pretty hard about what his decision will be, knowing it affects them both. And just want to say one thing real quick. My kids, one of them was literally on his way to a scholarship when COVID happened. And then their championship game with their team, their California championship game, got canceled. And everything changed. It was so
heartbreaking.
I wonder if any of these specific kids were affected by, like, you know, sports scholarship that they were on their way to and then couldn't get it. But COVID really started to happen when they were there. Anyway, I turned the page.
Okay. The obvious choice is Sigma. Is it Chi? Chi. It's the fraternity for athletes who have smarts. And yet he's leaning toward Phi Delta Theta, which is by reputation a dry house, but it's also known as the stoner gamer house. Not Ethan's thing, but an older Delt has been persuasive. Over several meetings during Rush, Hunter Johnson, who is doing a master's in athletic training, has made an understated yet confident case for Phi Delta Theta by demonstrating qualities that Ethan admires in a brother. Ethan gets out of the shower, still lost in thought. A door bangs open. He looks up. Emerging from the next shower stall is another freshman, Tim DeWolf, a blonde hunk of a varsity basketball and soccer player from Odessa, Washington, a small farming community. DeWolf, who is also 6'4", exudes masculinity. Hey, Tim, Ethan says. What house are you going into? Tim looks at Ethan like he's stupid. Duh, Sigma Chi, he says. It's the natural fit for athletic dudes like them. Oh, says Ethan. Well, I was thinking of Phi Delta Theta because of Hunter Johnson. Hunter Johnson, Ethan feels, has a unique sort of soulful charm. He's a talented guitar player. He's slender yet athletic, but also goofy. But Tim DeWolf is it. Ethan pauses, then says, but if you're going to Sigma Chi, then I'm going to Sigma Chi. And with that, the angst is over. The decision is made.
Chapter 8, Moscow,
Kai.
Idaho.
It's pronounced Kai, right? Sorry.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah. Yes, I know, YouTube bad actors. It's okay. This is not political for me, people. The Epstein thing is not political for me. So don't make it political. All right. Chapter 8, Moscow, Idaho, October 3rd, 2021. The doorbell rings at 1118 King Road. The rectangular house with huge windows, a design that inspired the building's nickname Shark Tank, sits just off campus. The place might as well be called Party Central because just a few weeks into the fall semester, its 5 occupants, especially Xana and Emily, have become known for hosting the best and most frequent parties at UI. That Sunday morning, a bunch of freshman Sigma Chi brothers are standing there, summoned to get to know the Shark Tank women by playing a game called Champagne Shackles. Come on in, says Xana. She and Emily grin. They have got the bottles of bubbly ready and the zip ties. The rules of the game are simple. The ties go around the wrists of a pair, a man and a woman who have to stay together until their bottle of champagne is finished. Oh my gosh. Even when going to the restroom. The tall, dark Chapin brothers, Ethan and Hunter, are easy to spot among the crowd of Sig Chi freshmen. One of Xana and Emily's housemates, Josie, a pretty brunette from Boise, immediately calls dibs on both of them. Xana cracks up.
Josie, can you even tell them apart, she asks. Excitement builds as they all whip out their phones to take the most embarrassing photos possible for social media. That's part of the fun of this. It's almost the point. Xana has on an eclectic outfit, a psychedelic sun hat that is a mix of bright pinks, purples, and yellows, a yellow bustier, and black jeans. She's in her element, giggling as Emily photographs her sitting on the toilet while the guy she's shackled to, Peter, is stuck on the floor by her side. Sitting in the living room, practically immobilized by the ties for hours, Ethan can't help but notice Xana's effortless magnetism. Xana is the one running the music. DJ Xan, her housemates yell as she changes songs. She's the one in charge of the shambolic wee dancing and making sure everyone has drinks. Xana is the focal point of the party, though she doesn't seem to notice the attention. When the game's over and the day's finally winding down, Ethan asks Xana about herself. He discovers that Xana is just Xana. She has no big plans, no idea what her future is. She's in the present. She makes no apologies for this. She's the most real person he's ever met. He's hooked. In the next few days and weeks, he often finds himself making the few 100-yard trek from Sigma Chi to the Shark Tank. He and Hunter regularly hoist their massive stereo on their broad shoulders and carry it across the lower 40, as the field is called, so DJ Xan can play whatever she wants. In the midst of all the music, the dancing, the talking, he notices that Xana gets some work done.
Here I am.
By passing her assignment book around and insisting each person take a stab at writing a paragraph.
Her spirit is infectious. He's so smitten, he asks Xana to become his bid. According to the esoteric fraternity rules, there can be brothers and sisters in different houses, though dating your Greek sibling is considered sort of incestuous. That's funny. But Xana has never cared about the rules. In early 2022, it starts to become unclear as to when Ethan arrives and when Ethan leaves 1118 King Road. Does he actually go home at night or does he sleep over in Xana's room? Anything going on I should know about? Emily asked Xana one morning. Xana shakes her head. She'll speak only when she's 100% sure what she wants to say. Oh, no, I didn't. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate you agreeing to disagree. No, What happened? Is this recent news? Let me look.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Oh my God, you guys. Let's take a little bit of a reading break to read this. This is, oh my God. Oh. Let's read this. Wife's son accidentally shoots, kills grandson. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Dog the Bounty Hunter's family is going through a personal tragedy because his stepson shot and killed his step grandson in what we're told was an accidental shooting. Sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ Gregory Zecca, son of Dog's wife, Francie, shot his 13-year-old son, Anthony, in a freak accident at their apartment in Naples, Florida, Saturday night. Law enforcement confirms to us they responded to a call about a shooting around 8 p.m. ET. They haven't made any arrests and call this an isolated incident. The investigation is ongoing. Doug and Francie, through a representative, tell TMZ, we are grieving as a family over this incomprehensible tragic accident and would ask for continued prayers as we grieve the loss of our beloved grandson, Anthony. They are asking for privacy at this time. Zecca is Francie's son from her previous marriage. Francie and Doug married back in 2021 after each of their spouses passed away. They said they bonded over their shared grief. Oh my God. That is absolutely horrible. I want to know more about this. Why are they pushing so hard that this is an accident? Why is that being pushed so hard? I mean, I'm not a fan of dogs. This is a horrible, horrible loss for them. If it really was an accident, I feel horrible no matter what. But why is it so early that they are pushing that this is an accident? How do we know it's an accident? There's no details. I know, right? How can that be a freak accident? Tell us how this was a freak accident. What were they doing with a gun in their apartment in Naples? You're from Naples, Tessa? I hear it's a very nice place. Well, my condolences to all involved in this, but this is going to become a true crime situation. Yeah, it was in Naples, Florida, but Dog and Francie just recently moved to Georgia, which was interesting. I mean, I'm not saying this had anything to do with it, but I'm going to see if there's any articles with any more information. Let's one. What does Us Weekly say? Dog the Bounty. Ads. Oh. I have to put up an ad blocker to read this one, and I'm not going to do it. Sorry, guys. I'm not going to put up the ad blocker for this. There isn't a lot. I mean, let me see if there's anything on Twitex. Has he written anything? He has not. he has not posted anything. But let's see what there's anything else on here. That's another issue right there. That's another issue that only TMZ has covered this at this point. Why is there only, so just to give you a little PR behind the scenes knowledge, TMZ and us are known as tabloids. They're basically seen as tabloids in the news industry. Radar Online has it. Okay. And they are also frequently where celebrities will go to release their news. Why wasn't, oh my gosh, that's a very sad and good point, little horses. Well, they don't need to pay they wouldn't need to pay for this story because it's going to be out there. My guess is that this information was released to get in front of it. It has the markings of Dog releasing this information because we know that he has a deep affiliation with and long time affiliation with TMZ. He's also friendly with a lot of the tabloids because of his, life as a reality TV star. And those are the places where you would go. You would go to us, you would go to Radar, and you would go to TMZ if you want to tell a story that isn't out there yet. But he probably wouldn't have been able to sell it because this story is going to get out there anyway. Now, it would have, I think he was trying to get in front of this before any body cam came out on YouTube. If I were, if I were a betting person, I feel like that's probably what happened with that. Oh my gosh. There has to be much, much more to the story than it was a freak accident. And that's why I'm suspicious. They didn't just allow this to come out, into the media naturally. They obviously obviously released the story to a few outlets to set the tone and to be able to say it was an accident, it was an accident, it was an accident. So what really happened? Right? Oh my gosh. This is just horrible. That's horrible. Well, thank you for bringing us the information. We're now on chapter 9 in this book, and I think this is probably a good point to start. We got a lot of chapters in. They're short chapters, but we got a lot of them in. And this is I'm honestly really interested to get more information on this. You see, when you go to TMZ and you're a celebrity, you're going for that headline that they will they want a headline to be written that will carry on through the totality of the story, because this is clearly the first of the story.
Yeah, it sets the stage for.
Yep, it sets the tone.
They hope.
Right. So, but how if Dog and his wife are in Georgia, how would they know that it was an accident unless they just took the word of the guy who did it accidentally, or they want to frame the story as early as possible.
Yeah.
Yep, Lady K9, we just read the story on TMZ about it. It's really horrible. That's horrible. Well, anyway, I think this is a good place to stop. And I want to thank you very, very much for rejoining me as my lovely co-reader.
Oh, I'm happy to. I tripped over my tongue a lot today, so I'm out of practice.
Oh, we both did, but hey, we're amateur readers, right?
We are.
But I'm still very much boiled up by this Epstein thing. So you might start seeing Epstein videos coming out from me, and
Good.
maybe some live streams. And thank you, Music City Mom. You get you for your gifted memberships. Let me give you another little prize for your gifted memberships. You know what I have to say to that?
Wow. 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 What? Wow. Okay.
that cracks me up. I didn't put those together. That was just her saying that. Wow. 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 What? Wow. Wow. I just think that would be funny if it was anything to me, if it was anybody to me, but it's sort of kind of it because it's her. But anyway, thank you all for being here. Have a lovely rest of your day. Rest in peace to that poor 13-year-old child who just got murdered somehow. If it was an accident, it wasn't murder, but I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thank you so much, Cinnamon. And
you're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Bye. You sent her gifts. Your husband said you sent her gifts. All right. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. And again, my condolences to the family. I hope there's not more to it than it was an accident, but that kind of accident should never happen. What the fuck, man? Anyway, I'll talk to you all later. Have a great day.